Yo, Giants fans, what is going on? Welcome to the Rush Hour special. We're going to preview the upcoming Giants 49ers game. I am joined with Truth. Truth, we have not been together in several episodes. It's been a minute.
I know the chemistry. We got to keep it alive.
I couldn't agree more. For those who don't know, we do run a draft show in the off season, just the two of us, and we talk about all the picks and everything like that. And ultimately, it's good to be back. It's good to be back, and it's good to be running. So, listen, in terms of, what the Giants need to do here, or how we have to look at this game, it is a very tall task for any team, right? But especially for a team like the Giants. Because let's think about everything that we need to consider right now. The Giants are playing the 49ers. The 49ers are arguably coming off of a year where they could have gone to the Super Bowl very easily had it not been for quarterback fault in the NFC Championship game. Granted, Philadelphia did an excellent job. I do think that this will be an extremely challenging game for the Giants to go out there and win. We are down several key players, and the 49ers have a lot of talent and a lot of dangerous weapons that they could utilize to capitalize and defeat the Giants. So, Truth, let me hand it over to you. How do you feel about the New York Giants in short week traveling back to the West Coast, trying to play the San Francisco 49ers?
Well, first they did stay there after the Cardinal game. They stayed on the West Coast. So,
they did. Thanks for the heads up on that.
Yeah, no worries. And yes, they are shorthanded with some key players. Especially Mr. Saquon Barkley, and a short week, like you said. And you and I were speaking about this before we went on. What are we going to see? Which Giant team are we going to see? The one that played the first 6 quarters, or the one that played the last 2 quarters that looked like what every Giant fan envisioned in the offseason, when all the pieces were coming together and all the additions were coming on board. And, I don't know who's going to show up in that first quarter when they play the 49ers. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. And look, I mean, if the Giants had played in the second half this past week like they did in that first half of the Cowboys game, it would have been really tough to have any confidence in the Giants going into this one. Look, I do think that the Giants have some sort of means to be able to beat the 49ers. A few years ago, they beat the Seahawks in Seattle. We didn't expect that at all. Last year, a couple upsets there as well. Similar situation in Minnesota. What that comes down to, though, unfortunately, and I will say this, is not necessarily even the Giants just going out there and, playing a great game. We kind of need San Francisco to screw up. I know that's either have turnovers, which Brock Purdy doesn't have a single interception this year, or the more likely situation that happened in Seattle is the offensive coordinator for the 49ers calls a terrible game, makes boneheaded mistakes. They do stupid plays on third down. They're not going over the line. Things like that. That's what we could look forward to. But let's go line by line, player by player, and just discuss, what it is or, what to make the situation, what that means for the game. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, there's a multitude of injuries right now for the Giants, but the main one that we want to focus on is Saquon. Listen, Micah Parsons said it himself last year. Saquon Barkley is the player that they look to take down in Dallas. He is the most explosive and most talented player on the Giants and the hardest one to stop. And when he gets the ball, it could mean trouble for the defenses. He's not playing this Thursday, and he's not going to play for a couple weeks now. How do you think that's going to impact the Giants for this Thursday night? A, with their game plan, and B, let's go through the heads of the 49ers right now.
Well, first I'll start with the Giants. Listen, to say Saquon Barkley is not a key factor to the Giants' offense is a lie. I mean, he's a vital cog to that machine, and the Giants are going to have to figure out a way, and it will be by committee. And they're going to have 3 running backs there. They're probably going to have. I would like to see maybe Paris Campbell do a couple of plays in the backfield. And, jet sweeps, things like that. And whoever gets hot in the running back, that's the guy who's going to carry the ball the most. And let's not forget Daniel Jones running the ball as well, RPOs like he did on the first touchdown for the Giants when he scored in the second half. So, look, the 49ers are a better team than the Giants. Right. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. But it doesn't mean they can't be beat. It's just that the Giants have to play a near flawless football game along with some breaks to win this game.
Right. I agree with that. Here's the one thing that's a little bit troubling to me. I noticed that a lot of the times when upsets occur, teams on offense have to try to control the clock, and that's to try to utilize as much time as possible, as did Bill Parcells in Super Bowl 25 against the Buffalo Bills, right? I don't really know if the Giants can do that this week because I don't really know if that's their bread and butter. I think they're still going to have to rely a little bit more heavily on the pass game. Now, before fans jump at that idea, let's talk about what we did see last week. In the second half, Daniel Jones, in my opinion, played the best half of football that I've ever seen out of any Giants quarterback ever. He owned the field. He owned it in the pass game. He can make it happen on his legs. It was unbelievable to watch, which is the biggest 180 in the world compared to his first 6 quarters this season, right? It was the craziest thing ever. So the question is this: what Daniel Jones are they going to get? Are they going to get the first 6 quarters of football, or are they going to get the last 2 quarters of Daniel Jones football? What are your thoughts?
Well, listen, if they don't get the Daniel Jones from the second half in this game, they're going to lose. And they're not going to lose by a close score. He has to have an encore performance to give the Giants a chance. It's going to be really because of Barkley being out. It's going to be put on his shoulders. And listen, he's being paid as a franchise quarterback to do this,
million.
Right? So he's going to have to put up a game almost like he did that resembles last week. Simple as that. They need him.
They need him, and they need him to ball out. That's also going to rely a little bit on 2 things, in my opinion. Let's start with the first one. It's got a slightly banged up offensive line that was already banged up in terms of their quality from day one. That said, they looked a little better in the Cardinals game in the second half, did they not? I was a little surprised with how some of the backups played. Yeah,
I love the way that McKeffin, am I saying his name right?
Yeah, McKeffin, yeah.
I love the way he played, and he was a bull in the inside interior. He looked really good. I think he's going to be getting the start this week, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so, and I know there were a couple injuries on Arizona, but they're still no joke. They have a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the reports. I think they come out tomorrow, the final day. Well, they should have came out today because it's a Thursday night game. Is Andrew Thomas playing? Is it confirmed yet?
I believe Andrew Thomas is not playing. I thought he was considered out last time I looked.
Okay. That's a big blow again.
That's a big blow.
That's a big blow again. He's our best lineman. So that's what football's about. Spartan, you got to pick it up. That's why we have a 53-man roster. They have depth. They got to perform.
Yep.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. And look, McKeith, he went in there and he played a good game. This is what we want from our backup linemen. Hell, that's what we want from our starting offensive linemen. We haven't really quite been getting that. So if he continues this, that's one less hole we have to fill in the offseason, right?
Yeah, I agree. I have a feeling this kid is gonna be the piece that they've been looking for at either side. He played right guard, so I'm assuming with Bredesen, I think he's still out with the concussion.
Bredesen's out. He is ruled out. Yes.
So Gowinski's going to be moved to the left side, and he actually played okay over there in the snaps that I saw. He looked.
Yeah, he played okay. Yep.
Yeah, he played okay. Yeah. So, look, it's not impossible, but it's going to be a very, very challenging game for them, and this is why they get paid the big bucks. This is why they want to play with the big boys. They have
to do it. They have to do it. And you know what? If they show up and win, we know that we can beat just about anybody.
Yeah, and I listen. Right now, look, we'll talk about more in depth. The 49ers have defensively. I think they got Drake Jackson, I believe, is leading them in sacks with 3. but they have a good, talented bunch of guys on that defensive side.
They do.
Right? So it's going to be challenging. If the Giants can just win the battle in the trenches and just keep it close and battle them, any team has a chance. They just can't let that team get a big lead like they did with Dallas, like they did with the Cardinals, because they're not going to come back like they did.
Yeah, well, look, if they can finally go out there on their first drive and not end in a 3-and-out, that would be super helpful because we would like to get up points before we get the ball back. It's really bad when you get that ball first and you don't score points because you already know you're not getting the ball back in the second half, and now you're punting right away, and you already have like a very low morale, right? It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough to climb back from. Real quick, Mike, I'm just going to say what's up to everybody in the chat. Peter, we're happy to have you. What is going on, my friend? Chris, I like it. I this is referring back to Saquon being the explosive player that the Giants need. He's talking about Hyatt. I love how that kid's playing. Other Peter, what is going on? We need to blitz more. I do think we need to get to the quarterback more. I do miss the defenses of the late 2000s, early 2010s, where we didn't actually blitz all that much. We just had 4 guys that could just naturally get to the backfield very quickly. So I do agree with you. The guy get to the quarterback. Unfortunately, that does depend on blitzing a little bit more. I think we got to see it.
Yeah. You'll see more. I think you'll see more Hyatt in this game. He took a big jump last week, and I think you'll see him start becoming more involved in that offense. Absolutely. So hi to everybody. Sarah, what's going on? Darius, save the best for last, my man. This is a good comment, too. A lot of play action will be necessary to compensate for the O-line, as well as slowing down the 49ers pass rush. Yes. There's a twist to that. Yeah, there's a twist to that. But, yeah, I'll let you go first.
I was going to say, though, it's easier to do play action when you have Saquon back there because when you do a fake handoff, it's labeled that Saquon might get that ball. So I don't even know if it's worth it. I would just do shotgun, and I would have I would have the post routes for Hyatt going right away. And
Spartan, we saw the breakout of Hyatt last week, right? Could we see a kind of a breakout performance from Eric Gray in this game? Could he get a couple of runs where it gives the Giants a spark? Because he's probably the most explosive of the running backs, I would think, the way he runs the football.
Yes, he just needs to hit that hole as fast as possible. He's got breakaway speed. He's very talented and very shifty. I don't want him to try to shift too much behind the line of scrimmage. I think he just hits a hole and do everything you can to keep your feet chopping. That's the one thing that he's got to do. Absolutely.
And, of course, I wrote an article like I do every week about 3 ways they can win and lose. And one of them, of course, is the turnover category, which the Giants have been dreadful in the first 2 games. They have no turnovers yet, correct?
No, we have no turnovers. Now, right. I got to be honest with you. I feel like we never do very well in that category. I can't remember the last time that we had actually, we may have had it last year, a plus in turnovers.
Yeah, I think it was plus 3 or 4 last year, but
yeah,
which right is now they're -4.
Super Bowls, we always sucked in that category.
Yeah, they're playing a team that's not going to really give the ball away. Like Purdy does not turn the ball over. He's very efficient.
Not turn the ball over, no.
Right. He's not going to wow you, but he's an efficient quarterback that makes good decisions. And they got some explosive players, and we have McCaffrey and you got Samuels. Those 2 scary guys that you have to focus on for the Giants.
Oh yeah.
And so again, they're going to have to play their best football and get some breaks along the way.
I agree. Well, let's talk about this then, because if it's going to come down to offensive productivity for the Giants this week, the big rumor on the street is it's been going back and forth. And as you said, Justin Penick did a very good job of breaking it down and convincing us that it very is likely that Dable was calling the plays on Sunday. So look, Kafka versus Dable. If Dable calling the plays, that was legit. If he was calling them in the second half this past week, if that is the case, then he should be calling the plays all game on Thursday night. Because I'm sorry, but that offense that quarterback play from Daniel Jones, the best I've ever seen in a half of football. It was
he looked like an all-pro stud. Daniel Jones looked like an all-pro stud. He really did. And any of the guys who were on with us, Spartan and I were talking about this. I don't remember the commentator, anybody talking about Dable other than Justin bringing it up. Anybody else know for a fact if he did or was calling the plays? If you know, write it in, let us know. But
right. Does anybody is there, and this is what we were talking about before the show, is there any evidence of Kafka talking into a microphone? Because if he wasn't talking to a mic, well, then we damn well know what the issue, he wasn't calling the plays. But I only see a video of Dable, covering his mouth like he's ordering something from a takeout.
Double fries, right? Double burgers.
Yeah, margarita to go, please. Yeah. That's kind of what it looked like. He had a Denny's menu in his hand. But, look, if that is Dable's offense, how good would we have been last year? Let's just say hypothetically, that was totally Dable's offense, and last year we could have gotten productivity similar to that. What, would we have gone 15-2 or something like that? I mean, that was insane.
Let me tell you, they even had some plays called back because of a penalty, and they still managed to get the first down or score a touchdown. They just looked like they could move the ball at will. And, you see, I don't know. I saw it. You see it steamrolling as the second half. You see it was just steamrolling. And, I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed when after the Giants scored their first touchdown, the defense gives up a touchdown right away. That just burned me. But we're going to talk about the defensive side shortly. But it didn't stop their offense. The guys just kept on plugging, and they really were. They looked like a championship football team.
Absolutely. Really, and look, everybody's comments here. Dable said that he wasn't calling the plays. I understand that, but to be honest with you, if let's just say he was calling the plays, he would probably lie about to the press to make it look like there's not drama behind the scenes.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, he's not gonna throw Cap under the bus and say, "Yeah, I started calling the plays now." Second half. That's not his style. That's not his style.
No, he wouldn't do that. He's not like the nicest guy in the world of the media. He will throw okay, a weird question, but he's not going to throw people under the bus. And this is a good point too. And this is where I just so badly come down to this point from two giant goofballs out here. No points in the sixth quarter, in 6 quarters. He had to get more involved. And I agree with that. Something obviously must have happened there. And I can't just imagine that Kafka just all of a sudden decided to play or start calling more explosive plays. All right. Well, on to the next subject. Let's talk about Thibs for a little bit. Big, hot debate. I didn't like his press conference the other day. Everybody's a little bit disappointed with his his play. But then you got Carl Banks defending him, saying he might not be asked to get to the quarterback in the manner you expect. And then that always leads me to believe, well, what's the point of having a pass rusher then? But I want to hear. Yeah, but what's the point then? It's kind of like the same excuses people write for Leo, Leo's really just there to clog gaps. Well, then why did we pay him $30 million? But anyway, I want to keep this with you, Truth. Keep it on Thibs. What are your thoughts on Thibs? What can he do to get better? And, will we see him get better?
Well, listen, for me personally, and I'm reading all the Twitter, I don't think he's a bust yet. And I always give rookies, at least young players, at least 2 years, at least. Give him a chance, 2 years of playing, 2 years, and we'll take it from there. But when I watched Thibs play, he doesn't have a lot of moves. He needs to get more moves in his bag of tricks. He's not a bull rushing pass rusher. No. He's got to get that out of his head. He's not going to run over 330-pound men with his. He's a big, strong guy, 250, but let's be real, that's not huge in the NFL. You know, he's got to be more creative in his pass rushing moves. I don't see the bend that he has like Ojulari has. He doesn't finish. He's not right now. He's not a finisher, and that's what you got to be. The way Parsons is. Parsons is a finisher. I mean, that guy, when he starts a play, he finishes it. And I don't want to compare him to Parsons because right now there's no comparison.
No,
but he's got to learn how to finish.
There's a certain explosiveness that even like and I remember playing guys in high school, and you just see with Micah Parsons. I mean, he's obviously not as big as an offensive tackle, but when he drives into these tackles, there's so much force. It's
leverage
off the locker. It's the leverage. It's all about the leverage and how quick he can get to them and how quick he can maneuver around them. He can do it all. Thibs, I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. And this is, again, I already brought it up. This is a good point. If he doesn't show up in the Seattle game, that's it for me. I will have to say, like after year two, I hate to call him a bust, but it's not looking good. I will say that.
Like Spartan, you're going to give up at the 4 games this year? That's it?
I'm going to give up the hope that he's going to have what the goal was when you and I talked back in July, and that is a 10-sack season.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then if he doesn't even get like 5, now we do have to worry. So. This is something I see out of Thibs too that really pisses me off when he's trying to rush from the edge. He gets like if he's going the outside of a tackle, that tackle pushes him back into like 50 yards behind the quarterback.
Yeah. He lets him.
He goes flying.
He lets him. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, there was some news today about an offensive lineman, a former Giants offensive lineman that was being worked out by the Giants today, Justin Pugh. Now, what are your thoughts on Justin Pugh? Do you think he has a role opportunity with this team?
Yeah. I mean, if they decide to pick him up, he could play tackle and guard, and if there is an issue, if maybe, it could be an ongoing thing with Thomas's hamstring. You got to have to figure out what to do. You can't just let Mr. What's his name? Joshua Zuzu carry the load. That might be too much for him to take up that load. So I think this is a safety valve move. I think Shane is looking at this and saying, I need some kind of safety valve just in case. We know our hamstrings could be lingering for the whole season sometimes.
Right.
And the legs are an important part of a lineman's attributes to be successful. They got to have good legs underneath them.
No doubt. And look, I mean, Pugh, I always say this. I'm disappointed because he was never I didn't think he was that great as it was. I mean, he was drafted as a tackle.
Not great, no.
No, he was fine. And then because he was the only guy that was slightly average on the team in 2017. Remember he tried, looting the Giants for a king's ransom contract the next year. And even though the Giants offensive line sucked, they're like, no, get the hell out of here. Not you, kid. So, it is what it is. If he comes back, though, I think he would be an upgrade from what we have right now at guard. But, if we had 2 guys playing like McKeith, then I wouldn't have said that. What's this?
They gotta try anything, right? Shane has to try to improve the team any way he can.
Just give me a call. I'm available.
If he thinks Justin Pugh is good enough, then I trust his judgment. I mean, he's a GM for a reason.
Right. And yes, this is a good point, Real Cold G. It is very possible that Pugh goes out there and absolutely sucks because nobody else thought he was good enough to make a roster. Clearly, he wasn't getting many phone calls.
That's true. We don't know.
But Real Cold G, we did the annual Giants special of our already crappy offensive line is banged up. So we are the type of team that makes these phone calls. By the way, Real Cold G, it's good to see you, my man. All right. Well, look, we talked a little bit about the Giants' offense. What about defense? What do they have to do defensively? I mean, we're going to talk about Thibs, but talk to me about the secondary. Talk to me about the pass rushers. Talk to me about the linebackers. What are your thoughts, concerns, and where do you think the Giants might be able to capitalize here come Thursday?
Well, I personally think, as I said the same thing last week, the Giants have to start this game with such anger and aggressiveness on defense. I didn't see it last week, and they got to do that against the 49ers, and it all starts up front. I mean, the Giants' defensive 7 have to come and punch the 49ers in the face. They got to do that. Williams and Lawrence and all the other guys. They got to show the physicality, and they got to win the battles in the trenches. They have to.
Yeah.
Else, McCaffrey's going to run. What's McCaffrey averaging? Like 6 yards a carry. He's going to continue doing that. They don't do it, the Giants.
He's going to crush it if they can't get to the running back. I mean, I'm way more worried about him than Purdy.
Oh, yeah, of course. And that's a good reason to. McCaffrey's a talented player. And don't forget Debo Samuels. He's going to be, they're going to have plays for him. And it's going to be either running the ball out of the backfield or as a receiver.
I forgot about him. You said that. I'm like, Jesus Christ, we have to play him too?
Maybe they got other guys on the team. And, I'm not worried. I again talked about this before we going on. I'm not worried. The secondary, they're going to give up some plays, but they've been playing pretty well.
They've been playing good.
Those two rookies, they're playing pretty well. Really. So
and they're young, but they're not even having growing pain errors. They're all young out there and actually playing effective, meaningful football.
Yeah, and they're going to get better as the season goes along. They're going to learn from their mistakes, and so for me, the Giants to be successful defensively, it's all about the defensive front seven. They have to dominate the line of scrimmage. There's a reason why Shane went out there and got some beef on the defensive line, via draft and also free agency. There's a reason for it. Now they got to show up. They got to show up. They got to perform and stop the run. They're not doing the job right now. They're not.
Yeah. No, I agree. The pass rush is ineffective, and they have way too high price of a defensive line and rushing tack to not be making anything out of it, in my opinion. That's a lot of money going to guys that aren't really doing all that much.
Yeah. Chris throws out one saying that he thinks that a shootout would benefit us than them. If our offensive line could give us enough blocking time, I'd love to see Jones go more vertical. Challenge those guys, safeties with Hyatt and Slayton, Campbell, all those guys. Even put Waller out there, and let him go one-on-one in a corner. That'd be really fun.
Yep. I'm with you. Maybe it's best for Jones to just kind of roll out a little bit. I mean, don't do the fake handoff, but just get the hell out of Dodge's way, and then
that could happen.
Yeah,
that's
roll to the right side of the field. If your guy's not open, just run. Just do it like that. Keep the clock moving if you can.
That's a good point. I mean, I think they have. I haven't checked. I think they have one sack, right? The Giants. Don't they have one sack?
I think they have one single sack.
If we're wrong, guys, anybody listening, let us know. I mean, I haven't looked at the
stats. How many sacks the Giants have right now? All right. What about let's talk about Brock Purdy a little bit. I mean, is he something to fear? I mean, he played a good, season of football last year when he went in. I mean, is it the team that's elevating him because they have so much talent, or is he actually very talented himself?
I think if you're asking me, I think he's a very what's the best word I can use for it? Non-risk, like he doesn't make stupid plays. He's very sure with the ball, and I think he's perfect for that team. He's perfect for that team. He's not gonna throw the game away because he makes a stupid 2 or 3 interceptions. Not misreading the defense. I think with him, but he's not gonna give you a 400-yard day. I think he threw last year. He played 9 games, had 1,500 yards. So whatever that comes out to per game, that's what he had. So what is that? 1,500. That's under 200 yards, right? A game, right?
Yeah.
So he's not going to blow you away, but he's a good, efficient quarterback. He's smart with the ball, and listen, give it to the stars and let them perform. That's it. It's smart.
Agreed. Amen.
It's smart. Good play.
All right. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I'm just saying a good play that probably on other teams, if they relied on the quarterback so much, it wouldn't be so valuable. But he's a perfect fit for that 49er offense.
For sure. Well, let's just sum this up then, Mike. I want to hear your take, and then I'll provide mine. If the Giants want to win football this Thursday night, what do they have to do? How can they capitalize against a good 49ers football team and shock the world and win.
Okay, I'll pick a couple on both sides of the ball. I said it earlier. Daniel Jones needs to have an encore performance. He needs to be the star of the offense. Okay, offensive line needs to at least control the line of scrimmage. Just don't get dominated by the 49ers. Battle, and I think the Giants have a chance. Defensively, it's up front. I firmly believe the defensive seven on the Giants have to win the game defensively. Because I'm not worried. Not that I'm not worried, but I have confidence in the secondary. I think they'll do their job like they've been doing. But we need this defensive seven to step up. That's what we need.
There we go. I couldn't agree more. I think you just kind of spoke into the room, really what it is that the Giants need to hunker down on. I mean, because a lot of it is, not just cleaning up mistakes the weeks past, but, really finding your identity. Like if Jones truly has this ability to ball out like he did in the second half, then let's just own it. Let's just capitalize on it. Like if that is what we have in our quarterback, then fantastic. We need that moving forward. Go out there and ball out. Don't play scared. Go out there and play. And look, it's the 49ers. We got to be careful, obviously. But the attitude on the team has got to be like, we got this. Let's freaking go. All right? We've seen the New York Giants in much bigger upsets in our lifetimes. And this spans back many decades. Let's talk about it. I mean, we've been spoiled by them. And 3 years ago, there was one against the Seahawks that was very similar to this. We probably didn't have much of a business winning that game. The Seahawks were a good team, a lot of talent. And the Giants, who are a lot crappier in 2020 than they are now, like this team would blow the doors off the 2020 Giants. Yeah. They took care of business in Seattle. All right? And I will also say this. Giants 49ers 2011, that was one of the toughest games I've ever seen the Giants have to play. I think, in my opinion, that goes down. The Giants were going to beat the Patriots next week because they took care of business against the 49ers in the week, in the NFC Championship.
And who had the best? Who was the star of that game?
Who was the star of that game?
Eli. Didn't Eli have a phenomenal game again?
He did, and it wasn't even just a pure numbers thing. That was the toughest game I had ever seen a quarterback play. He had his head twisted off, hanging by it.
He got hit a lot. He did.
So let me ask you this. Giants, 49ers. Is this a rivalry?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. For a non-divisional team, I think the Giants and 49ers for a non-divisional team is one of the top. Let me think real quickly. I think it's definitely top 5 rivalry in football for non-divisional teams. Look at the history of these guys in the 80s and the 90s, I mean, and then like you mentioned in the early 2000s during playoffs runs, games. Yeah. Great games.
There was an article that was released by, I think it was Bleacher Report, that ranked the best NFL rivalries of the 80s. And he put the Giants 49ers as number 1. And I had never heard of that before. 2000s, I say Ravens Steelers. 90s, probably Cowboys 49ers. I didn't think about the 80s very much, but that's probably accurate. Giants 49ers. They went even in the playoffs. And it was a pretty, it was a tough matchup with a lot of talent. Obviously, the 49ers were overall better back then. But, I mean, we still took care of business a lot of times, and we had to beat them on the 2 runs we had to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, the 80s, can arguably say the best team in the 80s overall was the 49ers. Overall, the best team in the 80s.
They had 4 Super Bowls, and they won another one a few years later.
Yep.
So,
I want to just take a couple steps back, and if you don't mind, I want to jump in. One guy on defensive, I want to see get more involved. I think it's time now. We're in game 3. Is Isaiah Simmons. I've been waiting. I know he played on Sunday on last game, but I think you'll see him playing more, perhaps on the inside with McFadden out. That's what I think he's out, if I read it right.
Right.
So again, I'm going to hopefully, and I know he's not listening, but Wink Martindale, I hope he can get this kid more snaps for this game, put him in the right position so he can make things happen, because he could probably be that missing element for the Giants that helps them in the pass rush. They worry about Williams, they worry about Tibbs, they worry about someone else, but if he can maybe put a spark for that defense, it would help. It would help that team.
I agree. Like, to get an explosive player at that level, at the second level, to be all over the field. He was poorly utilized in Arizona, but why aren't they using him right now? Especially with Mike McFadden being out, I think this might be an opportunity for them to put him in there and see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like a month now since they've gotten him, I believe, and he should be getting comfortable with the playbook and the scheme and all that stuff and what's expected of him, and hopefully Wink, lets the leash out a little longer for him. Let him play. Let him, let that athletic ability shine. That's why we got him. That's why we picked him up.
Yep. Yep. Couldn't agree more. Well, all right.
Yeah,
look, I mean, what's that?
I'm just reading Peter. It says first play for the Giants, bomb to Hyatt. Set the tone.
Can you imagine? That would be great. Like if we just go out there and whop up a touchdown like to start the game. And then we onside kick.
That wouldn't bother me if they did that. I kind of would like that.
Yeah, I don't want to see a 2-yard run followed by an incomplete pass, followed by a sack, and then we punt, and McCaffrey takes it 40 yards on his first play, and we're already in danger. Yeah,
we're down 7-0 already.
Bomb it out. You got to build an identity as a freaking team if you want to win. Just doing little curl routes and these little dinky passes and trying to play scared football, you lose every time. All right. Here's my takeaway for the game. I think the Giants, although usually in an upset situation, you have to run the ball to waste the clock. They got to go to their best abilities right now. And after watching last week, it's Saquon airing it out. All right. Figure out offensive plays where you can throw the ball and get it off relatively quickly without having to do short passes, curl routes. Just have Hyatt just go straight down the field. I don't even care if Jones is staring him down. Launch it and then just go from there. On the defensive side of the ball, look, I like the way the secondary is playing. I am hoping the 49ers are a little too ambiguous with their pass game, and then that could really open up some opportunities for us to take them down if they're not playing McCaffrey to the abilities he can, which is pretty dangerous against the Giants. I'm not going to lie. That matchup is scary. So what it's going to come down to a lot is this. I don't expect the 49ers to make a lot of mistakes, but I'm hoping maybe their offensive coordinator underestimates the Giants' defense or does a poor job of assessing how the Giants' defense is. And I think
let me ask you a question. And not to give me a score, but I think if the Giants win, it's going to be a close game. If they lose, they're going to get beaten by almost near what the spread is. That's what I think.
Yeah, and that spread's what, 10.5 points, 10 points?
Yeah.
Look, it just depends on what type of offense we get out of this. It depends on what Dable goes back and says. If he says, listen, we're going to come out as aggressive as we did in the second half, you have a really good chance of keeping it close unless it turns into a bunch of stupid mistakes. But it's tough for me because I could also just see a situation where we just can't contain the 49ers and things get out of hand and we make mistakes on offense and we just look clueless without Saquon out there. That's at the low end. At the worst end, final score 31-7. That's at the worst possible end, in my opinion. I don't think we give up 38. Hopefully we don't. On a day where it's like, look, we met the spread. We got out of there alive, everything like that. I think the final score there is like 27-17. Like, that's probably what we're looking at in terms of that score, right? In a day where the Giants play a close football game, play defense tight, they step it up. 49ers kind of wallop on a couple plays. Jones plays strong football. 27-24 kind of game, Giants. All right? those are the ranges of possibilities here, in my opinion. We're not. I mean, there's no way, even on the Giants' best day, they're going to put up 40 points against the Niners. It's not happening.
No, I don't see that either.
If they do, it's okay if they do.
Yeah, it is. And again, the 49ers aren't invincible, and any team can win on any given Sunday, right? We all know that, guys. We're football fans, so it's possible the Giants can win this game. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Highly probable? No.
No. Let's be real about where this bell curve is outlining us here.
Right.
Real quick, if we get rolled,
I just want to see a good effort. That's what I want to see. I want to see a good effort.
Yes.
I don't want to see them getting trampled on and falling behind like they did the first half of each game. And I just want to see effort and showing improvement every week. That's what I want to see.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Truth, it has been a pleasure doing this podcast with you. Giants fans, thank you so much for coming through for this preview of the Giants 49ers game. Go Giants. Best of luck, and may God be with Daniel Jones and his blessed arm. Please ball out tomorrow, Daniel Jones. Take care, guys.
See you, boys.